Hi there, it's Nicole here with a bicycles slider wedding card. This is featuring the brand new Lawn Fawn Bicycle Built for You stamps and coordinating dies, as well as the new Simple Road border. I'm using the slide on over dies with all of these products to make this an interactive card where the bicycle with the bride and groom moves across that little road there. I absolutely adore how all of these products just work with each other so well. I'm going to start by die cutting a couple of A2 sized rectangles. This is a 5.5 by 4.25 inch rectangles from some of the Watercolor Wishes 6 by 6 paper, a blue background for the sky, and a green background, well, it won't be the background, a border rather, for the grass, and it's going to just be intersected by this sidewalk or little road, whatever you want to call it. Also, I'm going to die cut the solid Simple Road border from some Narwhal Lawn Fawn cardstock. This little road is actually going to hide the slider element. It's going to kind of bisect the simple grassy, or this, the simple stitched hillside border that I'm going to die cut the green rectangle with this, and that way I'm going to have a nice kind of green border there with the same hillside design, and then the little sidewalk will intersect it, and underneath is where I will use the slide on over component. I'm going to gauge kind of where I think that hill needs to go. I'm using a little bit of Post-it tape to hold that in place. Run that through, kind of laying everything out again to make sure I think that's going to work. And then I need to decide where I want that slide on over component to go. I want to make sure I still have plenty of room for the bride and groom on the bicycle to move across the top of the card. So I'm going to decide where that goes. I will go ahead and die cut the hill first, but I actually need this slide on over. This is the slightly curved one, so it's going to work great with anything that's curved. I need it to go through both the background and this green hilly border. That's going to limit how much foam tape layers I have to add so that hopefully I can use a standard envelope with this. When you use foam tape, it tends to make the envelope pretty tight, so I'm trying to limit that. So I'm simply going to line that up with the first one and run it through again, and that's going to die cut the background. So both of these are going to be die cut. This green simple stitched grassy hillside, or hillside border rather, will go or be adhered directly to the background. In fact, I will go ahead and do that now. Kind of build the background scene first, and then I'll get all of my slider components and all of the fun little embellishments that make this an adorable little wedding scene. I just kind of kept double checking too, because I hoped that this was going to work in my mind, but I wasn't sure if it would exactly. I did end up going back and having to add another layer of foam tape. Instead of just one layer, I had to have two. These are some puffy clouds die cut from the puffy cloud dies from smooth white cardstock and vellum. Those are just going to help make the sky a little bit more interesting. Anything overhanging I trimmed off with my scissors. You could also stamp some clouds if you would rather. Then, before I add any foam tape to the back of this panel, I need to figure out my greeting. And like so many of the Lawn Fawn stamp sets, you can mix and match to create your own customized greeting. I picked the Wishing You A and combined that with the Scripty Beautiful for my first line of text. And then I will use Wedding Day for my second line of text. Both of these are stamped with the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. And all of the greetings are from the Bicycle Built for You stamp set. I love that you can use the little boy and girl from this stamp set in so many different ways. You can use them separately, you can use them together. It can be any kind or occasion of card that you want it to be. I thought the wedding veil and the little top hat were so super cute and fun, as well as the little tin cans that you can tie to the back of the bicycle. And so I decided to do a wedding card, especially with the spring and summer coming up. There'll probably be occasions for lots of wedding cards. And this is just kind of a fun, interactive one. I stamped the images on smooth white cardstock using that jet black ink. It does work perfect for Copic marker coloring. And I'm going to color in my images. The colors I'm using to color in my images are shown across the bottom of the screen. The top row of numbers is the colors I used for skin tone. The second row, in different combinations, I used for the hair on both the boy and the girl. I generally do start out with the skin and hair, and then I work from there. I tried to limit the amount of colors I used, especially with doing a bride and groom. I wanted to keep her dress fairly white and then have him have a little black suit. So I'll show you those colors here in just a second once I get the hair all feathered. I did his a little bit darker, hers a little bit lighter. You can use any colors that you like to use. Try to do kind of quick coloring here. So much fun. These are really just, this is a really fun stamp set. I can't say enough great things about it. I absolutely love it. I started pretty light with the suit. I wasn't quite sure how dark I wanted to go to build up to that black color. When you're coloring black, you want to build up to it. You don't want to just color it with a black marker. And the first color I used was too light. So about C5 is going to be the lightest I ended up going. And then I'm blending in with C6 and 8. And that's about dark enough. The C9 will be used for the dress shoes. I will use the same colors for the little top hat. The little ribbon around the top hat, I am going to add some color to. With so many neutrals, I like to try to add some pops of color here and there. The flowers on the veil is one place with some pinks. To keep the veil and the dress fairly white, I'm using BG10, and I'm really only kind of outlining it. I even went in with a colorless blender and blended it out a little bit so those lines aren't so harsh. Some very, very light grays for the tin cans. Reds for the remaining flowers. All the flowers are in shades of red and pink. Kind of that love feeling. I wanted a red bike. I knew I did want a red bike, so I'm going to go ahead and color that with those same shades of red, RV29 and R46. The RV29 is kind of a reddish pink. It is very red, but it does have a little bit of a pink undertone to it that I like. And then my darker color is R46. I tried to keep it pretty simple. I only have a couple shades per color family. The rest of the bike will be colored in some of the cool gray shades, C6 and C8 for the wheels and anything else. The basket, I went with kind of traditional woven basket colors with E55 and 57. And then I simply have to finish coloring the little stripe on the top hat, which will be with the RV29 and R46. Once all of these images are colored, I'm going to use the coordinating Bicycle Built for You coordinating dies and die cut everything. I didn't start with quite all the images I ended up needing. Oftentimes, if I need a lot of images, I start with the basics and then build from there. So once I get this built, I'll know I need a few more. I've also got a scrap of some nice thick transparency film here. I'm going to cut a couple of stilts, and these are going to be adhered to my pennies using some foam tape. I'm going to have 2 layers of foam tape circles here with these 2 stilts, and then the bicycle is going to be attached to the stilts so that it appears to glide across the top of that street. instead of attaching the bicycle directly to the penny sliders like you would often. Since I'm hiding this, I'm trying to find a way to have it stick up a little bit higher, and these little clear stilts will work great for that. Now on the back here is a single layer of foam tape. I did have to add an additional layer because I don't think the pennies are going to move very good this way. I was able to salvage the card, believe it or not. I used some undo adhesive remover to remove this whole panel and add another layer of foam adhesive. Plus I have 2 layers of foam tape on either side of the slider track. That's where my road is going to go. So far I only have those little stilts sticking up there, and then my little road that goes across, and those pennies are just going to move really nicely across the top of that. I forgot to do it, but normally I like to take a powder tool and go around the foam adhesive on the back, the sides of it, anything that might touch the penny sliders, because it's going to help the pennies move a little smoother. It may have helped a little bit here, but I think it still works good enough. I am going to attach my images with some little mini bling glue dots to the bicycle. Unfortunately, I got some glue dots that are a little higher than what I needed them. So to fix that, I'm just going to cut a little scrap of cardstock and cover that sticky part up. I don't want anything sticky on the back of this that isn't attached to my stilts for the slider, because they're going to stick to the background of my card, or potentially could stick to the background of my card. I will put 2 adhesive dots on the centers of the wheels. That's where they're going to be attached to the stilts in the slider. There's that little piece of cardstock I just covered up some of the glue dots there that were sticking out on the back. And there's the cute little bride and groom attached to, or on their little bike with their little tin cans trailing behind. I think that's so fun. This is where I realized I needed 2 layers of foam tape on the back of my card because it just wasn't moving as well. So I think it's important to show you my trial and error, so that if you want to try to make something similar, maybe it'll save you a little aggravation. I really wanted it to only be 1 layer of foam tape because I try to limit the thickness of my card. It doesn't add too much to do 2. And in the future, I definitely will only use 1 layer, or 2 layers rather, of foam tape, because it just always does help a slider, especially a penny slider like this, work so much easier. So there it is attached again. I'll just go ahead and reattach. I just went ahead and got some new foam tape. The other popped off when I used the undo adhesive remover. So again, doubling it up, you only want the adhesive on the 2 sides, not anywhere in the center, because that will hinder the movement of the slider. And this piece is a little bit longer than the 5.5 inches, so I will need to trim off a little bit of that, but it disguises my slider track so nicely. So there is my cute little boy and girl bride. I just think they're adorable. So much fun. I'll go ahead and remove the adhesive now and reattach this to my card front. The adhesive remover made it so that I could save my card front too. I didn't have to do anything or have a new card front. No waste. And there's my little boy and girl. I'll add a little Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pin to the veil and to her dress. Maybe also the tin cans a little bit there too. Now I felt like it needed a little bit more going on. The boy and girl are super cute, but the rest of the scene is just kind of plain. Maybe it's just too plain for me. So what I'm going to do is take the tiny solid heart from the Bicycle Built for You, stamp it with lobster red ink. I'm going to start with one of the hearts on the cloud, and then I think I'll just go ahead and do a couple more. I think that would be really cute to have a bunch of little hearts here in the sky. This is definitely a love theme card when it's a wedding theme. And even stamp one down there near the greeting. I think it ties it all together nicely. I'll stamp some more flowers. Go ahead and color those in with the pinks and reds that I used for the rest of the card. Have some in the basket and then some falling along that little road there like they're falling out of the basket. Thanks for joining me today for this bicycle wedding slider card featuring the Bicycle Built for You stamps and coordinating dies from Lawn Fawn. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.